Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have another Marine ECM, this time working on a 4.3 liters MERC cruiser. This is a 2007 ECM, ECM 0708. Marcos Rojas Campa, he is from Maryland. He said that the actual boat was running before and in blue, and he actually got a motor from Florida from a reputable company, and then when or after they installed the motor here, it no longer runs. So like they got a crank, no start, no spark. And I'm actually able to reproduce it right now. So I told him that I was going to test the computer and see if it's actually the problem in the computer and if it needed repair or not. So far right now, I haven't even opened the computer. All I have is connected in. I'm actually right now supplying the RPM signal and nothing has happened. So you can see this slide. This is the cam and crank sensor signals. We got the main power relay, but no fuel pump. Although the fuel pump, it does work. So let me turn this off because I want to show that. So let me turn the signals off. We lost the synchronization because obviously I turn it off. So I'm going to turn back on, and we have the fuel pump prime. So the fuel pump is priming, and we can see the CAN bus being on. That is in the blue channel. The red channel is the injector. The green channel is the EST signal for the coil, and the yellow will be the RPM. Right now, the computer is connected and it's showing 100% power. We can see the temperature and other values. And what I'm going to do, just so we can see that we have actually communication, is to select some of the PIDs, right? Parameters for sensors, like, the throttle. I'm actually going to select the coolant temperature sensor and the RPM, even though it's not definitely not running. So I'm just going to keep this in here so we can see the changes. So I'm going to change the temperature, which I can, change in here. We can see now 110, 100 degrees. So that is changing as I am, putting now it's on overheating. So I might have just create a fault, but it doesn't matter. It's not running. I'm going to change the throttle position. You can see I'm now in 3%, 4%. I'm going to inject the RPM signals. We can see this working in here, and I got the frequency, so this should be right now running, and we got no fuel pump, so it's like it's not detecting the RPMs. So yes, Marcos, I can definitely reproduce the concern, so I'm going to open the computer and see what the problem is. I also have in here the sensor ground and the 5 volt reference, and that is indeed there. One other thing that I want to do is let me turn the actual RPM signal off, and let's try to activate the IAC, which is right here. And I can do that with Diacom. So I can go into test. This is going to disconnect from the computer for the test. But we can do the IAC output test. This is going to select, make sure that you have no RPM to do this. So I'm going 10%, and I'm going now 50%. We can see now a dim light in there. I'm going to increase it. And now you can see that it's actually on. So that looks like that driver, at least, and the pre-driver are somehow working. So definitely the problem is internally in the ECM. I cannot say, what is wrong or not because again, I have not opened the computer yet. I can definitely read the fault code. So let me reconnect. Um, so the computer has very low hours, 94.62. This is the latest. I have not touched for the first connection. I always leave my values as is, so I know exactly what I have. So the 165.20 is my temperature. And you can see the 13 volts. I can change a little bit like this, 12.84 and 13. That's definitely me. It shows that it's in gear, and it shows available power as a 100%. And the TPS, remember, as before I even touched the settings, that the TPS was in 15%. So those are the values that I consider mine. So PTOT and fuel level sensor and those stream faults, those are mine. Okay, now we have ECT overheating, 116, sorry, 195 degrees. Okay, that's definitely not me. The motor was in neutral, the bolt was in neutral. And one thing that I don't like is that battery voltage at 7.42. That is definitely no good. 94 hours and 18. So this was like 40, because this is in tens, so let's say in tens of an hour, not in like, 60 minutes. So that would be like 30 minutes before that last hour. Chroming down, we have battery voltage low. Yes, 7.5. That's super low. That's actually dangerous for the computer logic. That's no good. And we have 200 degrees of temperature. That is again no good. Same hours, 94.18. So these two faults happen at the same time. Let's keep going down. This one, at least we have 12.38 volts. So this is no longer a low voltage, and the temperature now is kind of okay, but if we see the coolant temperature is reading 10.4 degrees, that's impossible on this weather. So something already happened here. And this is 9462. So these happen after all that overheating and low voltage. So low voltages and these kind of modules, it can damage components and it can damage the actual calibrations, and the computer stopped working. So this is something I have to take in consideration. All right, we have map input low. All right, let's go over to the map. I not even see the map. PSI, okay, right here. Manifold air pressure in 10.18. That's not so low, but it's not running. No, it should be in 14.5. So this is already not reading properly. The coolant temperature is reading 10.4. Battery voltage is okay for just, after a stall, engine state power off. So that means it's not running, right? So TPS in zero, that's no good because it should never read zero. EST1 open, again, same hours, and we can see all the temperature changes. That's definitely not on my hands. And we can see the battery voltage was okay in here. Now the manifold pressure is reading 14.73. That is okay, but if you look in the temperatures too, 80.6, 77 degrees. So now it's reading properly. So what is going on in here? Now we got 100% power. So is this having a short in the harness or something is going on? So it could be water inside the module or something. So again, without opening, it's hard to say. We got also another fold for horn output, and look at the battery voltage, same hour. So something is what's going on in here. A short in the harness, a short internally in the computer. So I'm going to start by opening the computer and see what we find so I can give a direction to Marcos and see what happened in here, see if I can decipher if this was something that the module crapped out or if it's something that it got damaged during the installation. All right, so as far as fault, all we have is horn output, overheating, and battery voltage range low, which we saw on those faults. All right, so let me stop the video here, open this computer, and I'll be right back. All right, I got the computer open. I can definitely see sign of water intrusion, and these marks in here. It's already dry, but I did feel a little moisture when I opened the computer. I can definitely see a little bit of a corrosion on the surface of the connector, which is usually where the water goes in. We can see right here, definitely water marks intrusion. And the problem with these computers mostly is water enters through the connector. Hopefully the camera is showing that, and it has small pinholes on each of those connectors, and the water can go through and enter the computer right here and right here. Very, very common on this one. That's also one question that I asked Marcos, is if by any chance it was, sunk a boat or something like that. It could be, just moisture in the engine compartment. I don't see nothing immediately that brings to my attention as far or separate from the actual water. So let me reconnect this and check some of the signals, as I am very familiar with this, and see what I can recommend. All right, so I'm going to pause the video 1 second and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I decided, due to what I see in the microscope, to not reconnect the computer. I'm going to talk to Marcus. I want to put this into the ultrasound, I need to remove the conformal coating that is on the board, put this on the ultrasonic machine, and then heat it up on the hot plate, and then remove and replace most of the components like that I know that needs to be addressed. Let me just show you. So let me just show you the EEPROM. So let me an EEPROM in the not just only the EEPROM but also some of the components that are showing heavy corrosion. I mean, not a pus like major. I'm gonna need to bring this 1 second down. All right, I adjusted the microscope accordingly so we can see that. Let me put this into full screen view so we can see it a lot better. All right, so we do see corrosion on these areas. Let me move it over to another component and see corrosion. I need to adjust the microscope a little bit. Let me keep you guys posted in there because sometimes the microscope is so bright that we don't get to see the corrosion because of the colors. Let me get a few lights more in here, trying to make sure that we can see, or you guys can see, the correct coloring, because as always the cameras change a little bit of the color of the actual board. I'm going to try to come up a little bit, trying to give you the best of both worlds. So we see corrosions here. So it's not a major, like, let's say this is a major corrosion for a board, but it's not like when actually the components are falling apart because of corrosion. But yes, we have corrosion everywhere here. Hopefully you guys can see even the moisture under. You see that clear coat right there? Like, let me just reposition this. All this is corrosion under the clear coat. So this is, as it's still talking, so I will try to recover this computer by doing the process that I had done, and I am very successful doing that. And recommend this to Marcos. Obviously, this is a time-consuming process, and there's always a chance that it will not work. So I don't want to take the chance myself. So I will tell him, if it's everything good, then it's a repair cost, and if not, he's gonna have to take the chance and not me because I was able to see corrosion under the microprocessor. So this is, let me just come out a little bit so you guys can see where I am. So that's the microprocessor area. And if I show you here, let me just get to you where you see that white arrow right now, right here. You see how this one looks and this one looks, that's fine. But you see that? I can see that if I bring the camera or the computer to this other microscope and put it sideways, I can see corrosion under the microprocessor, and that's very dangerous. This system, the RPM signals or the analog to digital converter is built into the microprocessor. So I'm very, I don't know, like in a balance of saying that this will be coming back to life because the computer is not seeing RPM. We saw that before. So I will try to clean it, heat it up, clean it, heat it up, and see if I can make it back. Remove the components that I can see they need immediate attention, like all these voltage regulators. Like, let me just try to focus in here. This one you can see a lot better what I'm talking about right there. I mean, this is heavy corrosion. You see right here, and right here, and right here. So this is all corroded. Same thing on the other voltage regulator. If I come up in here, let me just get the camera into focus. I need to play with the camera and the microscope position. But yes, we can see all that corrosion in here and here. So yeah, Marcos, this is definitely not a problem during installation. This is a problem in the computer itself, water intrusion. When that happens or how that happened, it's impossible for me to tell you. But I will try my best to help you with this. So I'm going to stop the video. This is an inspection process and giving recommendations to the customer. All right, guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned for part two. Hopefully Marcos will approve my repairs and we can successfully bring this back to life and give it back to Marcos to put in the boat. All right, stay tuned. Thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.